What is up, boys? I just finished my bulk. We're onto the cut now, and I gained quite a bit of muscle and very little fat. I gained about 10 to 15 pounds on the bulk. I weighed in at my competition at 180, and I ended the bulk at 195, and I don't look any fatter. I looked like I didn't gain any body fat or didn't increase my body fat percentage. That doesn't mean I didn't gain any body fat, because if you're building muscle, then you could build it in proportion to the amount of fat you're gaining. But my point is, I made some crazy progress on this bulk, and I think these 3 tips I'm going to give in this video are going to help you quite a bit on your bulk. My first tip for all of you is to eat a lot of fat on the bulk. Fat is very important. You need to hit your body weight in fat, which is higher than most people suggest, and you need to hit all types of fat. You need to hit unsaturated fat and saturated fat. You need cholesterol. You need different types of polysaturated fat. The fats that people say are unhealthy are important to have to a certain extent. You don't want to eat it to a crazy amount, but you do want to have it to a certain extent, and you want to have every fat because they all work together to give you a properly functioning system. If you have a properly functioning system, or your hormones are in place and your body could do what it wants to do, then you are destined to gain a significant amount more muscle than the person who is not focusing on their system and just trying to give themselves fuel to work out harder, or purely protein. With that said, you should still hit your body weight in protein, or 0.8 times your body weight in protein. But the point is that you really need to focus on getting your fats in. Now, I am at King Soopers. I'm going to real quick pick up my food for the cut. And I'm not going to show you guys the shopping trip, because next week I'm actually going to make a full day of eating video. It's going to be pretty basic. I'm on a cut, and my ideology on a cut is basically just that your hormones are destined to drop. So you want to transition your focus more away from the hormones and more towards hitting your protein goal, so your body doesn't reach for your muscle when it looks for amino acids to fuel itself. Rather, it's going to use that protein. Or if you're doing cardio or whatnot and you want to eat something fasted, then you're going to be using BCAAs. By the way, BCAAs are ineffective unless you don't have protein in your system, so that's the only case that they make sense. But we will save more on that for the full day of eating. So I'm going to go pick up some food, and once I'm done with that, I may give you a quick sneak peek, but I'll get into the next tip. Now, unfortunately, my camera died, so I'm not going to be doing anything while I give these last 2 tips. I'm just going to be chilling here. But I got out of class, and I'm on the cut right now, and one thing I will tell you is your nose gets so much more sensitive. I smelled some bagels across the street from so far away, and damn, that smelled so tasty, but we gotta stay locked in. That's one thing I think about a lot. I think every bit of pain we experience, every bit of difficulty we experience doing something, is an amount of pain or an amount of difficulty that makes someone else stop doing what you're doing or not do what you do. So really, it's just making what you're doing more rewarding and makes it a bigger achievement. So don't let that stuff throw you guys off. But my next tip for the bulk is to start off clean and add dirty food when you need extra calories. Now, at the very start of the bulk, your glycogen stores aren't completely full, and your body is still filling them up. Therefore, it's going to be much easier to hit your calorie goal. And then you will notice that after about 2 weeks, then you're going to really start struggling a bit to hit that calorie goal. Now, if you're like me, or if you're an individual who started off skinny, you likely experienced the problem of really hitting a plateau here, or really struggling to gain weight. And that's where I recommend you add dirty food. So a lot of people talk about, oh, you should either clean bulk or you should dirty bulk. I say clean bulk and then add dirty food to make up the difference that you can't make up. But with this being said, I really recommend you are still hitting your macros. This is the only crucial part. You're not going to gain much fat if you're just hitting your macros. That is all that really matters when you're on a bulk, hitting your macros and not eating extremely unhealthy. So you have some dirty food, but you don't want to crash your hormones or impacts your body significantly from all the dirty food you're eating. So use it as a tool, not as your main arsenal. And then my tip number 3 is going to be train heavy in the gym. And I don't just mean train heavy, I mean train heavy lifts. The lifts that normally fatigue you a lot, such as a squat, a bench press, a deadlift, an RDL. I recommend RDLs over deadlifts. Deadlifts just aren't too good if you're trying to build muscle. Unless you're just trying to get strong at the deadlift, it's fine too. But in a bulk, you're going to recover much easier from these. So I really recommend you drive these lifts through the roof and try to improve your strength on them the most you possibly can. And when I say improve your strength, I don't mean your 1 rep strength. I mean go for high reps. Around 5 to 8 is the best, and hit in that rep range and try to keep increasing the weight on that. Progressive overload, obviously, while training to failure every time. And you are going to notice a lot more muscle gain on the bulk compared to if you aren't. And then the cut is different because you're developing more fatigue and you can't recover as well. So that's when you sort of get away from these. You keep the intensity high, but that's for another video. But my point is that you really need to drive the hard lifts and prioritize them, because you're not going to give them the same intensity at other times, and this is what's going to help you build a bunch of muscle. With that being said, join my email list, like, subscribe, and remember, as lifelong learners, perspicacity is our grindstone for success. Keep on grinding, boys.